right, today we're gonna assemble the Mauka. So we'll start with the unpackaging. All right, so for the Mauka and the Koa, I would highly recommend that you have a friend help you. You don't need to, but it definitely makes things easier. But you're gonna wanna have some scissors, a 3mm Allen wrench, a 4mm Allen wrench, a 15mm wrench, and a crescent wrench. You can get away with just doing a 15mm wrench, but if you don't have that one, a crescent wrench will do. All right, so once we have the bike out, we'll go ahead and grab our parts boxes. We have two of them. One has the controller and the other has some parts. We'll set that aside for now. And then we're going to want to start depackaging. First we start with the front tire, and then we can set that aside. And then we will proceed with the rest. All right, so once we have everything unpackaged, we'll want to start with the front handlebars. We're going to want to untangle those and set those down in front. And then we'll go to our front plate and take off these 4 screws. And hold on to those for a minute. Next, we'll grab our handlebars and arrange it in such that we have a nice V going the way you see here. And then grab our front plate and our 4 screws and start putting those back in one at a time. All right, once you have 2 of them in, then you can start to adjust the handlebars and the grips the way you like it. You can rotate them, but you want it to be nice and center. And when you're tightening in these 4 screws, you want to make sure that you're doing them evenly, moving from corner to corner. And again, make sure it's nice and centered, as you can see here. Again, tightening them a little bit at a time, evenly. So as far as the rotation of the handlebars, it's really up to preference. Any adjustments here, you'll just loosen these and rotating them accordingly. Again, all based on personal preference. So next we're going to do the display. So we'll grab that out of the packaging. So we're going to want to grab our number 3 Allen wrench, and we're going to want to take out these screws here. We've already taken out this one, and now we're going to work on the second one. We're going to hold on to these for the time being. We want to make sure as well when we put these back on that these nuts stay in here. One fell out, so we'll go ahead and pop that back in. You want to be mindful of that it doesn't fall out. And then we'll take it over to the bike. And we're going to want to make sure that it's angled this way, where the bottom part wraps around each of the handlebars. Again, making sure that that doesn't pop out. And then we will go ahead and place in those screws. Now again, when you place in these screws, you'll want to make sure that you have your finger underneath, holding in that bolt. And you'll grab your number 3 and tighten those back in. Not too tight, because you're going to want to rotate this back around. All right, then we'll go ahead and rotate it back. Then we'll grab the power button and the pedal assist arrows. And again, we'll take out the screws out of the bottom of these. Hold on to those. All right, once we have this off, then we'll go ahead and we want to take it over to the left handlebar. And we want to make sure that the power button is facing you, where you can see here, there's the power button. And then we'll put those screws back in and tighten that in. And we'll do the same thing on the bottom. And we'll give that a rotate back around to where the power button is facing towards you. And the arrows for the pedal assist, get that close to the handlebar, and then we can give that a nice final tighten. Next, we're going to grab our connectors here. We're going to grab our connector from our left brake and match that up with the other red connector. See the arrows here? Make sure those line up and push those in. Those will snap together. We'll grab the greens and we'll snap those together. And if you notice, there is another red one down here. And that is if you wanted to tie in a front light. But in this case, we're not using it, so we'll just set that aside. Then we're going to grab our tire and we're going to loosen up the nuts so that we can go ahead and put on the front tire. And we're going to take off this crossbar, throw this away, loosen that on each side. We won't need this anymore. All right. Then we're going to grab our tire and we're going to make sure that the rotor is going to slide right into the brake caliper and again into the fork. Should slide in nice and easy. And again, if it's not, you're going to want to make sure that you make enough room for it to slide in. And be gentle as you're doing this. Make sure it slides in nice with the brake pad. Like this, and then we can go ahead and hand tighten each side. Then we can go ahead and get our kickstand so the bike will support itself. And we're going to want to tighten these bolts down with our crescent wrench. Get them nice and snug. You can also use your 15mm wrench, whichever you have handy. We'll go to the other side and tighten that down. Get that nice and tight. All right. Next, we will grab the seat and slide that in. And tighten that down. And then clamp it down nice and tight so that it doesn't have any movement from left to right. And And then we'll go ahead and grab our pedals out of the box. If you notice, they're labeled left and right. All right, then we're going to go ahead and put in, we'll start with the left first. And it's going to be easier if you have a 15 millimeter wrench to get in here. You can also use your crescent wrench, but we can hand tighten these. On the left side, it'll be counterclockwise. And then we'll just give that a nice snug tighten. And then on the right hand side, it'll be clockwise. All right, so that's nice and snug. All right, next we're gonna do one final tighten. We're gonna grab our 4 millimeter Allen wrench and we're going to go ahead and line the tire up with the tread along with the front bolt all the way up. Make sure everything's nice and straight. And then we'll go ahead and tighten down the neck on each side. There's one on the left and there's one on the right. And we want to go ahead and tighten this evenly. Make sure it's nice and snug. All right. Then we'll go ahead and push on our power button. There we go. You can press and hold down the up button to turn on the light. And then we'll move on to our last step, which is our front headlight. All right, next we're going to want to grab our front light and unpackage this. We'll get our batteries. And put these in. And line this up where the button here is with the red. Slide that in. And line this up. Tie it in, put it in on the way. There we go. Okay, that's on. Then we'll grab our bracket here. So once we take this off, you'll notice these rings in here that'll keep it nice. And we want to make sure that these are lined up in here on both the bottom and on the top. All right, so we want to take our bracket here and make sure the nut side is facing forward. And we don't want to include this wire, so we want to open it up. The rubber is bending in on itself a little bit, so just want to get that where it's nice and centered. And then we can take our screw here and tighten it. And then we can take our light and slide it in to the bracket. And we're good to go. Last we'll want to grab our reflector. So we just want to pull our seat out and slide our reflector back on. You can tighten that down if you'd like with a screwdriver. And that's good to go. last but not least, you just want to put some air in the tires and ready to take it out.